Welcome everybody. So interesting evening last night. Great stream. Thanks to everybody who came along. It was fun. The aftermath was not fun for me, but yeah. So I won't be drinking today. Yeah. So Labor won. Liberals lost. Lots and lots and lots of independents. Crossbenchers can look very interesting. 15 crossbenchers so far, including 10 teal independents. That's insane. And this is the funny part. Clive Palmer spent $100 million in a blanket campaign in advertising. 0 seats. Simon Holmes Court and the Climate 200 people spent a fraction of that and picked up 10 because they picked their target. They picked their targets well. So yeah, we're going to look through the state of play, and then we're going to have a look at some interesting stories, and then we're going to look through my list of LOL seats, which is a list of seats that partisan, non-partisan, doesn't matter. I thought it would be hilarious if the incumbent lost. And all but one so far. All right, so let's kick off. So we will have a new government soon. We're obviously haven't. So counting continues today. Looks like another one has moved back to too close to call. So that'll happen as the votes come in, as the votes get counted, as the preferences are distributed. It'll move around a bit. So, but at this point, it's impossible. It's impossible for the It's impossible for the coalition to form government. They don't have the seats right now. The Labor Party could, form government with the independents straight away. So it's game over for the Liberals. They'll be on the other side of the House chamber for the next 3 years, unfortunately, led by the potato himself, Peter Dutton, most likely. So it looks like whoever who's Tian? I don't know who Tian is. Andrews. Let's have a look at the story. So let's see. Peter Dutton will throw his hat into the ring. Obviously, I don't think I've ever seen him with a hat. Discussions about Scott Morrison's replacement began very quickly. Yes, they've been going on for weeks. And of course, the Treasurer Josh Frydenberg lost his seat of Kooyong to one of the Teal independents, and he deserved it. He, of course, is not conceding. Oh no, that's this one. No, where is it? This one. He, of course, is not conceding. He's waiting for the postal votes. So there's a lot A lot of coping there.
Well, again, I'm obviously waiting for the postal votes to come forward and to be counted over coming days, and then I'll have something more to say about obviously the result here.
Is Scott Morrison to blame for the loss across the board, and if not,
Mostly.
What was to blame in your view?
Well, firstly, there's always lots of factors in a political result, and this is no different to other elections in that regard.
Yeah, nah.
Scott Morrison said yesterday himself, and we had a good chat on the phone last night, that he said publicly in his press conference that obviously as the leader he takes responsibility for.
That's enough of that. Nobody cares about him anyway. So will he win? It's possible. It's possible that there are enough pre-poll and the pre-poll votes are actually counted on the day. So postal votes will be coming in over the next couple of days. They have to be postmarked the day before the election, so the Friday before. So they had to be mailed in. There are also declaratory votes. So these are the votes where you aren't on the roll, and so you're not on the roll, and you make a declaration that you should be on the roll, and you live in this electorate, and there's also outside of area votes where you'll essentially go to the polling place and vote absentee. There's not going to be many of those. Like I don't see that. I don't see him coming back from that. So yeah, more than likely the new opposition leader will be Peter Dutton, the potato. Though he's in the fight of his life as well. Over there in Dixon, which is a very appropriate name, a very appropriate electorate name for that man. Really? What the hell? Oh, I'm in New South Wales. Damn it. Dixon. So they're saying Libertine, but that's not necessarily a certainty. What's the count? So 66% of the count is done. He's leading by 2,000 votes. It's not insurmountable, but it's unlikely. It is very unlikely that there are enough votes in that 33% to close that gap. But it's possible. Stranger things have happened. Out of all the candidates who lost, the fact that Peter Dutton didn't is a crime. Out of all of them, he deserved to lose the most. Okay. So yes, he's probably going to be the leader of the opposition. Good God, it's got a face of mother love. So the second MP said that Tian and Andrews were not realistic alternatives. I still don't know who Tian is. Oh, Karen Andrews and Trade Minister Dan Tian. Really? Yeah. So it's gonna be the potato. It's gonna be the potato. I'm just glad it's not going to be Prime Minister Potato, because that would be embarrassing. So yes, our new Prime Minister is going to be Anthony Albanese. So congratulations to him. He ran a I won't say he ran a good campaign, but he ran a campaign where he didn't screw up too much, didn't promise too much, and the media didn't have much to smack him about with. So at least there's that. Yeah. Good luck. Honestly, I kind of hoped the Liberal Party would win, but not for the reason people think. I think the economy is headed down the tubes, And I think, well, the Liberals will be, if/when it does, you'll be able to draw a direct line to the Liberals having caused it. They've exploded the debt. They've introduced a whole bunch of structural changes to the economy that are going to leave the government in a worse place. And they've done nothing but inflate the housing bubble even higher. And I think that bubble is going to pop. And I wanted it to pop under a Liberal government because there's this ridiculous notion that Liberals are the best economic managers, which I've reiterated a few times here, that it's a load of bullshit. I would have loved for that to be destroyed. But now it looks like if there is an economic collapse, it'll happen under a Labor government, and it will just solidify the idea that Labor isn't good at managing the economy. Never mind, we avoided the global financial crisis entirely under a Labor government. Amazing. Anyway, I should have had a run sheet for this, but only going to be a quick one. So yeah, that's where it stands now. There's still 17 seats that haven't been called. Let me pull up the full results, and we'll have a look at the ones that are too close to call. Seat type, still to call. Oh, this is terrible. We'll go to ABC. ABC does it better. So let's go live results. So ABC's calling more seats for the Liberal Party. That's just their analysis. So far we're looking at Bass in Tasmania, with the Liberals ahead by, what's that? I think 51%, yeah. So they're ahead by 1. That's probably not going to be a big count. Yeah, they're only ahead by 1,000. Could easily swing. Bennelong. Yeah, again, these are all 1,000 vote margins. That's a razor margin. Brisbane, that's a much better margin. He's ahead by 8,000 votes. Only 60% counted though. So yeah, it could go. I do think Brisbane's going to go to the Greens. Casey in Victoria, another tight one. Cowper in New South Wales. That's gonna stay Nats. There'll be a lot of absentee ballots that'll flow in that'll push them over the top. Deakin in Victoria. That's pretty close. Yeah, I wouldn't be calling that one either. I think Michael Sukkar might end up pulling it out on that one. Gilmore, Andrew Constance. Now, I said I said last night, Andrew Constance is one of the good ones. So he's a state member. His electorate is geographically it's the same as Gilmore, but at the state level. He's a very good member, very good local member. He resigned from the state parliament to run for federal office. Good bloke, cares about the community. But yeah, it looks like he's not going to unseat Fiona Phillips down there. Though that is like 200 votes. Like 279 votes is the margin right now. 80% counted. You never know. Never know. Lingiari up in the Northern Territory. That's probably going to, yeah. There's going to be a lot of absentee, and they use mobile voting locations in the Northern Territory because there's a lot of remote communities, for obvious reasons. Lions. Yep. Yeah, see, I doubt the Greens candidate's going to win there. So it's this. The ABC is estimating Greens versus Labor final count, but at this stage it's unclear what order the three leading first preference candidates will finish. Ah, okay, this one's interesting, if you like that sort of thing. So, because it is so tight here in these first preferences, once you eliminate everybody before and distribute their preferences, it can go either way. So they'll have to do multiple counts. So they'll have to do a count where the Liberal candidate is eliminated and it's a Labor versus Greens, and then they'll have to do another count where the Greens candidate is eliminated and it's Liberal versus Labor. And that can drastically change stuff. So, see, Menzies. Yeah, these are all really tight. These are big swings. Big swings to Labor or from Labor to the Greens. I just noticed that one. That's a sitting Labor seat. So that's a swing away from Labor to the Liberal Party. I'm sure there's some backstory there. Tasmania is strange. Tasmania uses a slightly different voting or vote counting method called, I believe, Clark-Hare is the name of the voting method. Well, it's a method of counting and distributing preferences. Of course, it doesn't matter. And Sturt is just a knife edge. Look at that. 63 votes. So yeah, that's the lay of the house right now. So, and these are the party totals. Gives you an idea of I guess nationwide popularity, but it doesn't really, because the LNP is a handful of parties. So, but they're not broken down. Or maybe if I hit this, they break them down. Oh, there you go. So, obviously the Liberal Party is everywhere except Queensland. And the National Party is everywhere except... Sorry. The Liberal Party is everywhere except Queensland and the Northern Territory. The Nationals are in every state. The Country Liberal Party is just in the Northern Territory. And the Liberal National Party of Queensland is a conglomerate of the Liberal Party and the National Party, and they are only in Queensland. So, the Labor Party, however, is one single party. So, and they are in isolation the biggest party, but because of the coalition agreement, the coalition gets multiple votes, or gets more votes overall. But again, this is irrelevant. This is more. There's no nationwide seats, so having these kind of nationwide party totals is just, oh, that's interesting. And people get to point to it and go, oh, but they had this much of the vote nationally. Why didn't they win? Well, because that's not how it works. So it's only marginally important when we move over to the Senate, which is what we're going to do now. So these are the Senate results so far. So the count for the Senate takes a lot longer. They've only counted 38%, and that's the first count. So Senate ballots are big. They're very big. The one in my state of New South Wales was probably about 3 A3 pages long. So probably about 1.5 meters long, which seems a bit ridiculous, but it's just the way they're laid out. So obviously it's more difficult. They're folded more, So they have to be unfolded, flattened out. You need more space to count them. It's a far more arduous process than counting the House ballots. And honestly, it doesn't really matter so much because of the way the Senate actually works. You don't need the Senate to form government. So, yeah. So 40 senators are up for election out of the 76 total. So there's what is it? It's half the senators in each of the states, and one senator in each of the territories is up for election this time. So yeah, and so far, this is what it's looking like. So it looks like the Liberals have picked up 12, with another one likely. The Labor Party's picked up 10, with another 4 likely. The Greens have won 3, with another 3 likely. Jackie Lambie Network looks like it might pick up another one. And bad news for Pauline Hanson and One Nation, she might be unemployed. So yes, the redhead might be leaving politics for a second time. So back in the 90s, she was in the lower house. She won a seat up in Queensland. I can't remember the name. I want to say Fairfax or something. I think it's Fraser, maybe. It's completely irrelevant. Yes, so she ran for the lower house back in the 90s and won on a platform of, we need to get these Asians out of the country. She was it was quite shocking at the time because we'd never had that sort of open racism from a political party. So it was quite shocking. Most mainstream politicians found her quite objectionable, but yeah, the Liberal government at the time had no need to placate her. She was beaten. I can't remember who beat her. It was just some no-name candidate. And also there was an issue where she was arrested, well, not arrested, but she was convicted of, I think it was fraud. Yeah, I think it was fraud, but it was later overturned. And because she had a conviction, she couldn't run for office. So, but once the conviction was overturned, she could run again, and she ran for Senate. Yeah, in 2016. Yeah, 2016 it says here. So she ran for Senate in 2016 and won. So One Nation has 2 senators, one being Pauline, who is the leader of the party, because it's literally Pauline Hanson's One Nation, or FON. And the other is, what's his name? His name escapes me at the moment, but I know he's a sovereign. He's one of those sovereign citizen types who believes if he says the magic words, taxes go away. So yeah, he's a bit of a tool. All right. So yeah, as I mentioned before, Clive Palmer, Fatty McFuckface, spent $100 million. Dollary dues, but still, real money. Spent $100 million to make nothing. 0 seats. The one seat they had, the only reason they had it was because a member of the coalition left the party, or was pretty much expelled, and decided to join Clive Palmer's party. So again, yes, Craig Kelly, who was the leader of the United Australia Party, managed to secure a measly 8% of the vote. So rest in peace, Craig. May we never have to hear from you again. Or get annoying text messages. And yes, so Scott Morrison will be unable to form government. I think he already announced. He announced he's going to step down from the leadership, but he hasn't announced that he's going to leave Parliament. I think it'll be a month or two, and then he'll announce, because he's a prick, and he won't want to sit on the backbench. But I could be wrong. He could think that God is going to help him get back into the top job. He managed to weasel his way there before, so no reason why he couldn't do it again. So, yeah. And Scotty was a bit upset today in church.
God calls us, whether you're a prime minister or a pastor, running a business, teaching in schools, working in the police force, doesn't matter. We're each called to trust and obey, and that's the life of faithfulness he calls us to, and that's how we live our faith each and every day, regardless of what your job is, and to express it through how you do that.
Yawn. Yeah, so that's footage from Scotty's church, which is Horizon Church. This is a Pentecostal prosperity doctrine church. So, yes, got a bit upset. All right, so it's time to move on to the lol seats. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I had 11 seats. 11 seats that I was going to laugh at if they changed over. And for the most part, they have. Start here at Goldstein, or Stein, where Tim Wilson is gone. He is out of here. He's out of there. And I cannot be happier, because this guy was an absolute prick. He had a hard-on for the superannuation system and wanted it dismantled. Prior to entering politics, he was the front man for a lovely little outfit called the Public Affairs. No, God, I've forgotten what it was called. It's the IPA, and not the good IPA. The bad IPA, the Institute of Public Affairs, which is a think tank that thinks up terrible policy for Liberal governments to implement. So, arrivederci, Timbo. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. So, the second of my lol seats was the Treasurer's seat, which we looked at before. Little Joshy Frydenberg is done. Done in by an independent. And I cannot be happier. Look at the first preferences. Like, he got crushed on first preferences. Hilarious. See you, Josh. Over to Wentworth in the eastern the leafy, expensive, rich eastern suburbs of Sydney. Represented by Dave Sharma, who I have affectionately referred to as the Minister for Insider Trading, because he seems to he seems to have a magical ability to invest in companies that tend to be the recipients of government grants. He must just be psychic. I'm sure that's what it is. He's done. He's done. Fab. Over to McKellar. Jason Falinsky. I don't know why I had him on my list. I think it was because it wasn't so much about him as it was about Sophie Scamps. So, see you, Jason. No hard feelings, mate. Trent Zimmerman, up in North Sydney, another very rich suburb. It's funny how all these rich suburbs vote Liberal. He's gone too. And I cannot be happier. Look, honestly, this guy wasn't too bad. So he wasn't from he was from the moderate side of the Liberal Party. Yeah, it was probably a bad day. Probably the biggest loser yesterday was the moderates in the Liberal Party, because most of them seem to have just been eliminated. Onto the seat of Reid. Fiona Martin is a Liberal MP there, but not really there. She doesn't actually live in the seat. She was formerly president of the Young Liberals, which is hilarious. And she's been beaten by someone who actually does live there. So, pro tip, if you're ever going to run for office, while there isn't a local residency requirement for election in Australia, you have to be a resident of the state, but you don't have to be a resident of the electorate. It's a fucking bad look. Don't do it. Down into Victoria, where the Gladys Liu, who I have affectionately referred to as the member for Xi Jinping, because of her alleged links to the Communist Party of China. So, despite all the trash talk about Albo's got a little red book, he's a communist, the Liberal Party literally has someone who has deep connections to the CCP as a sitting member. I used the wrong tense there. I said they have. They had. See you, Gladys. Seat of Hasluck in West Australia. Ken Wyatt. I don't hate him. He's just a bit of a smug prick. So he's been wiped out, along with pretty much everybody who didn't have a very, very, very large buffer in West Australia. Very popular Premier, Mark McGowan, basically led that state to a very large victory. So, see you, Ken. Seat of Fowler. Someone in red, because this was funny. So, Christina Keneally, a senator. I think she was the deputy leader in the Senate. She lives in a very upmarket area in North Sydney, well, northeast Sydney. And yeah, so she was parachuted into the electorate. So there's a popular member there who was basically forced out, and the National Executive decided that was the seat they were going to put her in, which was a very safe Labor seat. And she promptly fucking lost it to Daly, who is she's local. So she was the Liberal Party candidate. Like, she was a member of the Liberal Party, but she was expelled because she was expelled when she ran for this seat. So she's a former. God, I think she was a councillor in a local council. I don't think she was the mayor. I'm pretty sure she was just a local councillor. So this is basically a Liberal seat. But she'll caucus with, or she'll sit on the crossbench with everybody else. And given that the independents aren't going to be required, I can't see her having a lot of impact. So there was talk that the community might be confused because she shares a name with the previous candidate who was popular. I don't know how much of that is real or not. So I don't know how much cachet to put into that. So, no, it's not the previous member. It's another person who ran, a local who ran for pre-selection in that electorate. She shares a name with that person. So I doubt that there's confusion there, but I saw some reporting. And finally, lastly, we revisit Dixon, and they're still saying Liberal retain. So that might be my only bad pick. If there was money to put on them, I probably would have walked away with a fair whack. But c'est la vie. You can't always get everything you want. So yeah, that's it. So what happens next is they finish counting all the postal votes, and this will change over the next few days. So they'll stop counting tonight at 11. So this will keep changing until about 11, and then they'll go home, and they'll be back again on Monday, and they'll keep counting. So, and they'll keep counting in the House for, I think, a couple of weeks at most. But a lot of the bulk of the votes are already counted, which it's just waiting for pre-poll, postal, declaratory, absentee, that kind of stuff. So yeah, new government. The new government won't be sworn in until there is a result. So right now, Scotty from marketing is still the Prime Minister. Oh, apologies. Scotty from marketing is still the Prime Minister, and he will stay that way in a caretaker capacity until Albo has the seats needed. So until the elections are all certified and the members are elected, and then he gets to go to visit the Governor General. Oh, good God! This is what happens when you have a very heavy night streaming and drinking. I'm still experiencing brain fog. Yes, so he'll go and see the Governor General and tell him that he has the votes, or he has the votes to form government, and the Governor General will. I can't remember exactly the process is. I think the Governor General will basically just say, "Yep, okay, I'm commissioning you as Prime Minister," and they'll test it it'll be tested in the House. He'll also have a list of ministers that he needs, that he would like the Governor General to commission as ministers, and they will be commissioned. And then we'll have a government. Those ministers will join Mr. Albanese as the government of Australia, and Albo will be our 31st Prime Minister. So yeah, and that's it. That's election over. Not nearly as exciting as as other elections. But we do it, and look, I guess we do have a result, but not really. Like, we don't have a firm result, but we know where it's trending. So our system is not perfect, but it's better than every other system, at least that I've experienced or read up on. So yeah. So that's it. Thank you for joining. I hope I've entertained you. I entertained myself, so I guess that's the important part. So I'm going to go and recover more from last night. So everybody else, everybody out there, have a great day, night, whatever. And I'll see you all next time. Peace.